The Causevest network is here to turn every blockchain-based interaction you have into support for a good cause.
All right, cool. We got the mask on again. So this is part of the Causevest Conversation series. We're going to be talking a little bit about proof of cause. I have our CTO, Mr. Wahala, over here, and I'm one of your structural architects, Mr. M, or Mr. O, some people like to call me. So we're going to be going through proof of cause, why we've created it, what it's about. So I'm going to quickly just introduce why this has come up as a topic in conversation. One, we're working it right now and building it. It was an element of our white paper, and where we implemented a method of allowing people to enter into the blockchain-based space and generate a blockchain-based income without needing to own a huge amount of capital in comparison to, let's say, proof of stake. So we had another mechanism rather than you just have like with Ethereum, having a large amount of capital, buying the coins and staking them. We have that as well on Causevest, the Causevest network. But we wanted another way to help lower income and people in different countries, regardless of if you're from India or Uzbekistan. As long as you've got access to a computer, you can earn an income on that. What struck me, and the reason I sort of brought this up because we're actually building this right now, was someone recently came up and said to me, "Hey, it sounds like you're rolling out a UBI, a Universal Basic Income," and that's been really topical as of late, especially in a few Western countries. I almost choked. Our team is how would you sort of say it, Ben? You'd usually say it was a wide, an open tent or a wide tent. We've got a different set of political
Big
opinions.
tent, yes.
Saying, oh, what, sorry?
We have a big tent, yes.
Yeah, different political opinions, but me personally, I'm more right-leaning. We've got a lot of people that are more left-leaning. So, but when I heard UBI, I just I almost choked. I was like, no, hold up. I was like, no, man. But I actually stopped to think that they're right in a way. We have kind of created but I think the big distinction for me was that it's a universal basic wage rather than income. It's not something you're just given, you have to work for, or altruistic basic wage, or basic altruistic wage, however you want to define it. But the idea, the core fundamental mission here is for us to say, if there's a good deed that can be done, it has a value and we should reward it. And that's why I think Causevest, the element of the ideology around Causevest becomes interesting. But Ben, I wanted to get your thoughts really briefly on the UBI, Universal Basic Income, because obviously I've got one perspective, which is like, I don't like it. But I'm curious to hear your opinion regardless.
Yeah. Well, so the whole idea, I think, one of the things that really speaks to me is, back, a decade ago when I first, started playing around with crypto mining, just like on my home computer, the ability to just be involved and to, do something and get something back from this, like, sort of, random internet community, anonymous internet community. You could just, run some software on your machine, put some cycles in, and suddenly, hey, you had something that everyone saw, even though you didn't have to, like, go out there, register, make an account, all that other crap. And that's something, and it's as funny as the space evolved, that almost was lost. Small mining operations are not really a thing anymore. Like those kind of like altcoins that were just, to spin up a different miner sort of fell by the wayside. It's all tokens now. It's all like Ethereum mass staking, heavy, like, large capital investments, not something you can just do in a garage. And I really wanted to build something that, captures that sort of entrepreneurial small person spirit of like, hey, I want to do something. I want to get involved in the community. I don't want to have to register on some site. I don't want to have to provide information, and I want to be able to get something, even if it's like only a little bit or only a chance, like a 5% chance of like maybe something significant, maybe a 5% chance of $200 or something. That's like $10 value. But hey, we might really need it, and maybe you can, roll the dice. Yeah. And that's why yeah. So, as for the universal basic income, well, So I would say I'm definitely more of the left-leaning member of our little team. The thing is, I mean, I like the UBI in sort of. I like the UBI in more of a sort of hypothetical. The thing is, what matters is power, and UBI is basically saying sort of if the people, like everyone, could demand that they get a share of like the Earth's bounty. And that's how I would frame it. Like, there's only one Earth. You can't build more of it, and we all pretty much own it together. Because, like, unless you believe like you're like the king or like the chosen divine ruler, which I think is pretty bullshit. Then like the Earth belongs to all of us, and therefore its bounty belongs to all of us. And sure, maybe you can get a reprieve from that if you want to go to space. Good luck with that. So in that sense, yes, I think everyone is owned a piece of the Earth. The question is, if that is just a handout from the powerful to the powerless, then it's ultimately going to get useless because they'll just take it back with the other hand. Like imagine, I imagine like America right now, you could give people a UBI and it might work a little bit, but at the end of the day, it'll just get clawed back by rent and healthcare costs and all this other crap. So it's not really empowering people, and that's what you have to focus on. You have to sort of give people the tools to take power from themselves, and you can't sort of like universal basic power. That's not how power works. You can't like code that up or legislate that or anything. It has to be something people do for themselves, and so in that sense, yeah, I don't think Causevest is supposed to be like a UBI in the sense of everyone just signs up and then he gets their Causevest allotment. It's supposed to be like anyone can jump in the system, help out a it, and maybe get some coins. And it's an incentive to do that more than I think an incentive to just give everyone something that that can just get taken away later.
Yeah, I hear you. I think for me, when it comes down to the architecture we were trying to, and we are, I guess, implementing, the key distinction is, you can stake, you can, do the exact opposite of what Ben said. You can just have a lump sum of cash, chuck it in. You're very welcome to stake it and earn an income and earn a yield. That is built. The system's built, and it helps us out. If we're running nodes, we keep the network up and running and the peers running. But you can also enter the network from other ways. And I want to make sure that people could earn a blockchain-based income or wage from actions, not just passively. And that's something I believe in. I believe people should work. To conclude from my side, I think that the UBI, I wouldn't say it's a waste of time. I think if the issue is obviously sustainability, and I'm going to wrap up quickly so I can get to the technical part of this meeting. And fundamentally, it comes down to knowledge and application of power. When you're given something, you didn't know how to create it or earn it, and I think that's a big problem. What Ben was saying in the sense of people receiving this share of power, but then losing it again, really being taken on the other hand, doesn't quite do justice to the fact that even there doesn't have to be a sinister element around there. If someone else is out competing with you and working harder than you, you're going to be consuming their goods and services, and which means you're going to be giving them that wealth and power back one way or the other. I think that's even on a level playing field. If you haven't got that ability to grind and work 6 days a week, constantly through the night, through 4 o'clock in the morning, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, you're going to struggle. But anyway, let's go into the last part of this meeting so the Causevest conversation can kind of draw to a close. But let's talk about the technicals, and we talk about the fluffy stuff on the front, like, helping people earn a blockchain-based income. What's going on the back end? What's going on under the hood? How's that working on the technical side? Can we go through just really briefly concepts like the RANDAO, how proof of cause, the POTS flows through the economy?
Yeah. Basically, so there's going to be a lot of different actions we want to incentivize and reward people for. We want to reward people for making causes, for donating to causes, for voting for causes, all this sort of thing. But, well, 2 things are important. One, we don't want people to farm the system. where all they're doing is spamming in order to try to get some reward. What we want is, but we can't inflate the supply too much. We can't offer like 1 million coins for voting, because that's not going to be enough. I mean, it's just going to be spamming coins everywhere. So when we came up with the system, we think it's sort of an ingenious way to solve this, is to sort of distribute these what we call proofs. And these proofs are like sort of objects associated with your address. I mean, there's a whole blockchain basically address-based system, similar to Bitcoin or Ethereum. And you can take actions associated with your addresses, and these actions can generate some proofs. And these proofs are not tradable, but after once a week, there'll be a chance for these proofs to get redeemed into XEV, which is the currency. And this chance is going to be it's random. And to do that, doing that in a blockchain takes a lot of work to get secure randomness, but it's doable. Other people have done it before. And it's just a matter of, all right, so you distribute these proofs for all this stuff, and then you pick a few of those proofs as winners, and then the winners can win significant amounts. So it's not like everyone gets half a cent for a little bit of work, but maybe you have a chance, like a 1% chance to win $20-30, and that's meaningful. Something that changes. Maybe you go get a nice meal or something. And that's the whole idea of in incentivizing things, and also if you do a lot of work, you'll end up generate a lot of proofs. You have a pretty high chance of making something significant. So if you are sort of working a lot for your wage, then the randomness isn't going to be too bad. But if you put a little bit in, maybe you'll get nothing. You'll probably get nothing. But I mean, you're probably going to only get a little bit anyway. But you have a chance to get something significant. I think that's important. It's important that people feel like they're not just getting penny shavings that they forget about.
Yeah, I think that's really, in terms of that's still pretty structural, to be fair. But obviously we haven't got time to go through all of the technicals, I guess, in regards to how the RANDAO's created and structured right now. But I just end on this. I think that when it comes to we're going to be testing anyway with testnet in terms of the reward system. When we have our first release and get people actually testing the coin, we can kind of see actually how these rewards work. Ultimately, we want people to do good. And if you are doing good, if you're voting for causes, which means you're supporting different charities and good causes around the world, if you're making donations, creating causes, acting as a nominee, a lot of people do these things naturally anyway. We base the Causevest blockchain, a lot of the tasks and things that we've decided to reward are things people do, like in the real world for free. So, a lot of our work is just reaching out to those people and say, hey, you're supporting charities and raising money for charities already, you're getting nothing for it, do it through our network. So it's kind of like looking at it from that perspective, and then adding an incentive mechanism on top. How we were trying to look at what's the best. You got to get a balance. It's a balancing act really between getting people incentivized to do more of that and getting more people to get involved with that, and also not, as we've already highlighted, flooding the network with too much coin on the side.
One thing I do want to point out, and we've been using the word incentive a lot, and I want to point out it's not just about trying to manipulate people or control behavior. It's much more about, in my mind, sustainability, as you mentioned earlier. Like, if people keep doing something and it costs them, and maybe they don't have a lot of income, they don't have a lot of stuff to spare, maybe they can't do that anymore. Maybe they can't choose to be altruistic because they don't have anything to give away. Whereas if you can reward people, you can start the cycle going. Maybe you give something away and then you get something back, and then suddenly it's not so much just about how much cost you can bear. It's about trying to put your gifts to the best use. So I think that it's not just about trying to nudge people towards doing good. It's also about making it so they can do that, so that if their time is valuable, they can put that and then they can get something back. So it's sustainable.
Makes sense to me. Right, I'm going to leave it there. That's our first sort of Causevest conversation, I think, covering both what we're working on immediately and some of the things we've discussed in the past. You can actually read about proof of cause and the mechanism in the original white paper. That's going to get an update. Thanks for tuning in.